Good afternoon, morning, or evening, students. Today we're going to talk about the personal branding and LinkedIn to go along with the LinkedIn assignment that you should have been working on, just in case you had any questions to clear up anything that you needed to know. So we'll talk about personal branding a little bit, then we'll go through LinkedIn, some profile must-haves, what the social selling index means, and we'll look at some steals from LinkedIn so you get an idea of anything that I was talking about that you might not be clear on. So when we think about personal branding, it's kind of just making sure that the idea that you have of yourself is how it matches for other people. So you might think of yourself as let's say, a water expert, and you know all the best water in the world, but how would you communicate that to other people if they don't know that all the things that you know about water? So kind of define and get an idea of where you want to reside for your personal brand. You kind of think about what are you good at. I like to call this the thing that people come to you to ask you questions about and say that they want to quote unquote pick your brain about it. Then you think about what you actually enjoy, because let's be honest, you can be good at something but not enjoy it. So you want to make sure that whatever you're branding yourself for, you actually enjoy, because nobody wants to be unhappy in their career or what they're doing. And then you have to think of what will people actually pay you for? And that's where we find this little sweet spot in the middle to say, okay, that's it. That's what I want to go after. So you might think, okay, I hear you, but why is it important? You want to make sure that you are aligning what people see of you with how you want to be seen. Your personal brand is important because that's how people are going to know you, and then opportunities will come based on how they find you representing yourself. A niche is basically how you are different from other people. So you'll carve out some type of specialty. I don't know many people that are specialties about water per se, but you could think Kobe Bryant. His niche was basketball, Mamba mentality. That was his brand. That ever working, always hard, always striving, no days off. I'm going, I'm going, I'm going. Yes, I'm spending time with my family. I have work-life balance, all that. But he's like a fierce competitor. Like that's his niche. That's his difference. That's how he sets himself apart from other people. A niche could be a company that is reusable. So there's a company that I used to work with that has reusable plastic containers. So they do food transportation instead of with cardboard boxes. That made them different from everybody else in the field. So that was kind of their niche. We'll talk more about that in the marketing as we get into the textbook. So you have two versions. You have your online branding, and then you have your offline branding. Your offline branding, you can think of that as your resume. So this is the piece that kind of speaks for you when you're not there, right? And you put your experience and kind of your qualifications that help support that brand that you are trying to align with. And then I call them networking cards. So as a professional, a lot of times you get a business card, and that has the company's information. But as you go through your career, you might be looking for another opportunity, and you don't want them to know, or you don't want the person that you're trying to talk to for the opportunity to know that you're aligned with this company necessarily. So you don't want to give them all the company information. As a student, you don't have a business that you're associated with per se. You're associated with the college or the university, but you want to make sure to have your contact information in a clear, concise, and small, palatable method. Therefore, you do something like a networking card where it has your contact information. If you have a website where you have a portfolio or your resume, that's a great place for your LinkedIn vanity URL, which we'll talk about later. But you want to make sure that you have that kind of piece so that somebody doesn't have to get this big, cumbersome resume to find you, and they can look at your networking card. So, and a part of this, and this kind of aligns with the vision board assignment as well, you want to make sure you have a plan. Where do you want to be in 10 years? You can't get somewhere if you don't have a plan and executable way to get to there. So who do you want to imitate? Where do you want to be in 10 years? These are questions that you ask yourself to kind of get to this idea of what do I need to do now to execute? I looked at people on LinkedIn and said, okay, what was your first job? What did you go back to school? What was your degree? Were there any certifications that you got? Did you do any type of volunteer experience? How did you get your experience? How did you build that portfolio? And how did you get to where you are? Now, the thing that I want to make sure that we highlight here is that it does not have to be just one person. You can mix and match and take aspects from different people to make what it is that you're trying to do. Because a lot of times people say, well, nobody's trying to do what I'm trying to do. Okay, got it. But they've tried to do parts of what what you want to do. So make sure you can still model yourself after somebody. You just have to model yourself after more than one person. So definitely possible. And of course, we want to look at how they got to where they are and get more information on that. What steps do you need to take? More importantly, when, and if they're sequential or if you can do them out of order, etc. So now we're to the fun part where we talk about actual branding yourself online via your LinkedIn. So it's a social media networking platform, very similar to Facebook, where you have that layout, you have a feed, you have an inbox, you have the ability to post and create things. It can and often is used to establish a personal brand or a professional brand rather. It has over 660 million users as of this past January. I'm sure it's gone up from then, and it can be it can act as a virtual resume. So it has features on there like the jobs and the blog and content curating, which we'll talk about what exactly that is, that you can build your professional personal brand. You can also apply for jobs on here. That's why it's kind of like a virtual resume. If you've applied for any job online ever, you know they often have you upload a resume and then you have to go through all of these steps and fill out all this information. Well, jobs are now posted, or companies are posting jobs on LinkedIn, and you just go click, 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 and just submit your profile if it's completed. So that's another reason why you want to make sure you complete that. This is just a snapshot of how many users are on here worldwide. So you know you can connect with 3 million users in Egypt. It's not something that's restricted to the US. So it makes you international, and the brand building initiative that you're doing international immediately. So we know all this, we know the background, we know why we need to brand, we know what's going on with LinkedIn as far as the numbers go, but why do we need online branding as a whole? It's important because it is a way that you can get yourself out there. Millions of people around the world are on LinkedIn. So it's not like the physical limitation that you have of actually handing somebody your resume, giving somebody your networking card, meeting them at an event. You don't have to do that here. Everybody is at your fingertips on LinkedIn or online because of the way the internet works these days. What will you post? You'll post things about your niche that support your brand identity and communicate that with people on an ongoing basis. What we do not post is about needing a job 100% of the time, because nobody wants to hear that. They want you to add value to their lives. They want to add value to your life. So we're not going to post about needing a job. You want to make sure that you align the branding, your keywords, your pictures, the context, the content, the links, all of that needs to be consistent and supporting that brand. If you think about brands in general and I say Coke, you think red, you think the cursive. If I say Apple, you think clean, you think white, you think silver probably, and you think obviously the apple. If I say, what's another one? Nike, just do it. These big brands have this typeface and they have a certain way that they do things. You can see a commercial and know that's a Nike commercial because how it makes you feel. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about that branding, those keywords, that picture consistency, to make sure that the people they start to be able to expect the same type of thing from you. That's what we're talking about when we talk about that branding consistency. Content curating. So this is the fun part. You get to take information from any possible way, anywhere you want, and put that out as a representation of what your brand is. What that's going to do is allow other people to associate you with that content, and they'll start to say, oh, this person knows about this certain area, and that's how you build that niche. So how do we do this? Do we have to sit at the computer all the time? Do we have to sit on our phones all the time? No, you have something called an aggregate where you can go in there and post or schedule it to post on your behalf. So if you've connected with me on LinkedIn, you already see my post. I'm not sitting there doing all of that live. I'm scheduling that out for it to send at a later date. What that's doing is getting me in front of people that I've connected with, but it's allowing me to free up my time and do other things. It's good to maintain that consistency in front of your audience and don't go ghost on them, but it's also good from a time management perspective. So all of these companies offer that kind of same service, just some nuances, and some of them are actually free, so you can take advantage of them now to start building that repertoire of content. All right, so we've talked about a lot so far, but at the end of the day, what's the point, right? So you want to show your expertise. You're building your expertise while you're in college, obviously, but you can build that up over time, and you want to make sure that you show that and you focus on that specific area or areas that you're interested in and start to build that thought leadership perspective as far as your profile is concerned. You can also use it to connect with like-minded individuals as well as people that you aspire to be or connect with and network with. You can use it to brand yourself and market yourself to jobs, so people will check that. You can get opportunities from LinkedIn where people are seeing you on there and they reach out to you based on the content that you've put out there over time. You can also use it to apply for jobs, obviously. Building a network is a really big reason of why you want to be active on LinkedIn. And then, of course, being open to new opportunities and people soliciting you for opportunities based on your LinkedIn profile, as well as the information that you've been putting out there. It is also vital and so helpful to know more about your employer. So I cannot employ you enough to say every interview is a two-way interview. You're interviewing them, they're interviewing you. So this is a great way to kind of do some of that research on the front end to understand what exactly this company is, who these people are, and know about them before the interview to know if you want the interview, but also to impress them during the interview. So the question becomes, what do I post and what do I not post? Industry articles are always a go because it tells the viewer that you are up to date on what's going on in that industry, i.e. you are an expert, you're building your expertise, that is your niche, that is your area, and you can be the go-to person for that topic. News relevant to your interest and expertise. So when Mark Zuckerberg and all that interesting things came out about Facebook, that's what a lot of my content was, because my specialty area is social media. So I was really honing in on that aspect of things. Learning resources. So how to learn more about X or Y as it relates to your interest area. Professional development information, whether that's you getting that professional development or opportunities for other people that you want to share. If you bring value to other people, you will always be in a position of positive energy. Do not post inappropriate dealings. Do not post liquor-induced actions. Don't drunk text on LinkedIn or anything of that nature. Just don't open that app if you're indulging for the night or the day. And don't messy drama. It's not really, it's a professional place. It's not the place for cute cat videos or, funny videos or funny posts, or they started doing like birthday stuff now, but for the most part, you want to keep it 100% professional. So as an example, a marketing niche that is social media marketing. These are some of the resource websites. So every area has websites that their specialty is education in that area. So these are some for social media marketing. And then over here, you have kind of what you're looking for. Industry statistics, reports, anything that would appeal to your target audience. Of course, you have to have identified them. If you aren't familiar with that, we will talk about that throughout the semester and what exactly a target audience is. Photo and video tips. Social media is always changing. So anything that can help people stay ahead of the curve for tips and tricks, as they call it. Platform updates, books, blogs, ebooks. So these are all things that you could very well post in a social media branding initiative. Some must-haves for your profile. You want to make sure you have a professional headshot. No selfies, no cropping people out. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Your vanity URL is going to be essential. You want to also make sure you have a title and headline. You want to update that. Marketing student at school is oftentimes the one that's used for college level. Your contact information is crucial. You want to make sure it's the contact information that you actually check. However, your education, obviously, you want to make sure that they know your educational backgrounds to have that additional layer of qualifications. Then your positions and the descriptions. I cannot emphasize this enough. We want to know what you did there, how you made a difference, any numbers that you can identify. You want to make sure to put them there. So very important to have the positions and the descriptions. And a professional summary. In the older days, it was called an objective on a resume, but LinkedIn allows you to put a little bit more information to have a professional summary. Talk about what you have done. If you have not done anything, talk about what you want to do, the area that you want to go in, more about where you see yourself going and what you want to do with your career. A skills list. You can have a skills list on there showing people competencies in various technology and soft skills like public speaking or different software packages that you know. If you have leadership skills because you have run this organization or been a part of that organization, that goes in your skills list. And then, of course, the bread and butter of this platform, your connections. You can also have recommendations. What this does is just let's see if someone see, oh, so-and-so and so has endorsed them for XYZ, good to know. And that sometimes it can prevent somebody from asking for you for recommendation letters. Oftentimes it's just more support, even if they did ask you for recommendation letters, to say, okay, this person had more than 3 people that actually thought highly of them. So it's just a good thing to have. You can always ask your peers for recommendations. You can also ask your professors for recommendations, and of course, past supervisors, assuming that they will give you a good recommendation. Never ask somebody that you don't really quite sure what they're going to say. Don't ask them for a recommendation. Some profile do's and don'ts. Make sure you include your professional bio summary. We just talked about that. You want to make sure that you connect and consider other profiles. So somebody asked me once, well, I don't connect with anybody that I don't know. And the question I asked them was, what's the point of being on here? You're trying to meet new people. You're trying to network. You're trying to expand your circle. If you're only adding people that you know, that's not really achieving any of those goals now, is it? You want to make sure to keep it clean, show your expertise, and be creative and engaging, because at the end of the day, it is social media. It's just a professional social media platform. Some don'ts. Do not leave your profile incomplete. Do not leave your description for your positions incomplete. I don't care if you were mopping at McDonald's, you want to put beautification of the retail establishment. You want to make sure that you put that description there for every position that you have. Do not post personal images or recreational images, so to speak, unless it's like a company outing where you're doing some team building or stuff. Recreational images are not appropriate. Don't post about needing a job all the time. We talked about this a little bit. Nobody wants that. You want to make sure to be purposeful in your networking and not ask for the meet up front. If you meet somebody new romantically that you're interested in, you're not going to ask them for your number immediately. You're going to make sure you vibe a little bit. Consider it like that. Don't set up your profile and never check it. Don't leave messages unanswered for a really long time. That puts a bad taste in the person's mouth. This is kind of what it looks like. I told you it's really very similar to a Facebook. You have these side panels with additional information and advertising. You have this feed in the middle. Up here, you can post photos, videos, write an article. That's the blog feature I was telling you about. Post a document. Up top, you have your network. This is the jobs, messages, your inbox, and your notifications, as well as some other elements when you click that link. So right here is where you edit that vanity URL to make sure that it gets to the point to say link www.linkedin.jenriley. or linkedin.com/Jen Riley. So you want to make sure to edit that, because without that, it'll have a bunch of characters and numbers behind it, and just having that link lets you go directly straight there, and it's a much better user experience for somebody trying to go to your profile. It also shortens it so that you can put it on your networking card. So this is your title right here. You have this section where you can add new sections. This is a cover photo. A lot of people like to put the city landscape for the city that they're in or that they want to be in. You can make a photo. I made a photo before this one that had a keyboard with some social media links because I was doing social media consulting. Excuse me. This is your professional summary right here. And this is what happens when you click on that link to the other options. So you can add all of these different sections, your work experience, education, volunteer experience. So you want to make sure to build that out as much as possible. This is that professional summary. These are keywords listed under here, and that just helps with your search optimization for coming up when people are looking for certain skills. That's what opportunities I was talking about earlier. So those will be relevant to the niches that you have identified for yourself. These are analytics that you can learn about your profile to see who is viewing it, how many posts the post that you're sending out, how many people are viewing it, and if you're coming up in searches or not. Really critical if you're looking for a job that you are coming up in searches. That's a good sign. This is kind of what the recommendation section looks like. You can ask for a recommendation, you can give recommendations, and then you can, of course, edit them. I'll show you that in a little bit. As far as the accomplishments goes, these are the list of accomplishments that they allow you to upload. So you want to make sure to take advantage of that, especially the organization at the college level, as well as the courses that you've done, because that tells somebody this is the exposure that you've had, and these are the courses that they can kind of count on that you have this base level of knowledge. This is what it looks like when you're uploading experience, company name, title, the time period, and this description. No, it does not have that red asterisk there, but it is vital. These are profile pictures that I don't think are acceptable, because this one is clearly a selfie. This one, she definitely cropped her friend out. This one, while it looks very nice, it looks more like a Easter celebration, I like to call it. The door in the background, she looks like she's going out somewhere. It's not necessarily a professional dress. It's a nice dress, but it's not necessarily business professional. And this guy just looks like he's on the beach. I don't think that he's ready to work, and this is a professional, ready to work platform. So you want to make sure that's the brand that you're putting out there. This one, not appropriate. It's a ghost face. Nobody wants to befriend a ghost. So you want to make sure you do put a picture there. These two are much more appropriate. They have the appropriate backgrounds. They are business professional in their attire. The photo is waist up. They have not cropped anybody out. They're well lit. So this is more so the type of professional photo that we're looking for here. You can also sync LinkedIn with your email accounts if you want to kind of get kick-started on adding contacts. And then you can also join the alumni network for your specific school and get some contacts that way. Alumni helping current students. They do have groups just like Facebook, and you can join them based on your niche. So this person's niche is obviously electrical, and they can join those groups to network with those 20,000 members in that group. You do have some groups that are locked, and you can always join in on discussions or post discussions. So this kind of tells you how many groups you have. So that's always a good feature, especially if you don't have a lot of contacts. You're trying to get your contacts up. You're trying to learn how to navigate the platform. So the groups is a great tool to help you do that. A little bit more about the recommendations. When you're going through that process, it's going to ask you things like, what's the relationship? What role does it support? Things like that. Who exactly do you want to ask? So be sure that you kind of have this in mind before you go in there, as well as what you want to ask for. Because when they give you that recommendation, you can ask for changes. Hey, I really liked your recommendation for me. Could you please put in X? Really wanted you to talk about your time management, and that way you can align it with the types of jobs that you're looking for, so that it directly speaks to it when you get that recommendation. And you can change which ones are visible and which ones are hidden based on the job that you're applying to, because only so many are available on the actual page without having to click more. So you can optimize those recommendations. As far as the jobs go, you can see how many people you have in common that are working at these jobs. You can also filter it by industry as well as function and zip code. So you have a lot of options. For salary, you have to upgrade to the premium. But other than that, all of this stuff that we're talking about here is a free to it. You can save the jobs as well as see what you applied to earlier. I always recommend that if you are applying to jobs actively, save a PDF of the job description, so that once they call you back, you have that to refer to, because they could call you back in a month or 2 months. You want to make sure you have that job description to remind yourself of what you essentially signed up for, and know what keywords to really emphasize in the interview and the conversation with them. So this is what it looks like when you have a vanity URL, linkedin.com/n/JenRowleyMS, and that is something that I could put on business cards or in a signature of an email. These is the skills that I was talking about. People can endorse you for the skills. It's kind of like a mini recommendation that you don't have to ask somebody to write. And here is the link that is also in your assignment to go to the social selling index, which will kind of rate your profile and tell you how well you're doing. Now, that is not, if you have just created your LinkedIn profile, that rating will not be amazing, because you are still working on it. It is a work in progress. You work on it over time. So it does not need to be perfect just yet. It will get there in time. Be encouraged. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please do let me know.